What's been your experience with, like, I mean, you mentioned this before, so I don't know if this is okay to talk about, but like a recent breakup, or not recent, but in the past, relating to a business. What's been your experience with, like, dating? And I'm curious if there's anything with ADHD that has played into it.
Yeah. So what you're referencing, I was in a relationship for 8 years. We were married. I'm divorced now, and we had a business together. We ended up splitting it when we got divorced, and just gave each other money out of the profits. Dating after that was really, really weird because I never really dated. We got together when I was in college, and I mean, I had dated people, but it was usually like a year-long, 2-year-long relationship. So it was never like, oh, I'm going on a date this weekend, and then another date with someone else next weekend. Like I'd never done anything like that. And so it was definitely difficult, especially because when I first started my relationship with her, dating apps didn't exist. And now it's like dating app culture. And so that was a whole thing to adapt to. As far as ADHD playing into it, I think I actually enjoy it, and I looked for people who are neurodivergent in some way. Like that was like a point of connection for me, because I was like, oh, they get it, so I can connect with them. I can be too much or crazy or wild or whatever, and then they'll just roll with it, because they probably will be too, and they'll understand what that's like. I definitely, one of the things about ADHD that was massively difficult to overcome for me, and still to this day is like something that I'm working on, is rejection sensitivity. So a lot of people with ADHD have RSD, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, I believe is the D. And it's just, you're just really sensitive to rejection. Like if someone even like seems like they're rejecting you, they don't even have to outright reject you, but they could just like say something in a certain way, and you'll just take it way too personally and be like just destroyed by it. When I was younger, it was really, really bad. I was super sensitive, and even little things could like trigger me and make me feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm worthless, and like go into this negative spiral of the depression and everything. Nowadays, I have a lot better of a grasp on it because I understand that it exists, and I, have done things to kind of mitigate it. But it's still, I catch myself, people can like look at me in a weird way, or just make one little comment that means nothing, but it'll just like, oh, my heart, like it kills me. So it definitely does still play in.
I can definitely relate to that. That like, oh, she looked at me weird, or she like turned away. She hates me now. Like
Yeah.
After having like all the evidence that isn't true, but then still just the littlest thing, you're like, never mind.
Yeah, it just breaks everything. It's like, oh my God. it can get really annoying, because it's like, and I think one of the things to that helped me kind of overcome that is when it happens, I ask the person. I'll literally be like, hey, I noticed I felt this way when you did that, and I was just curious, like, did you mean that, or am I just like making this up in my head? And almost every time it's like, I'm making this up in my head. It had nothing to do with what their intention was. And if it was what their intention was, then okay, fine, and then I get to work through that. But most of the time I find that it's all just stories in my head.
Right. Yeah, and then relating back to what we talked about earlier with the way life works, it's like if you believe you're being rejected, you almost reject yourself, and when you're looking for reasons to be rejected. And yeah, that's 100% true, because if you think you've been rejected, you're going to start acting that way in such a way that now you are going to be like rejected. So that's cool. So putting it out in the open for you feels like that's been a way to move through that.
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things, because I've always suspected I had ADHD, and I always joked like, oh yeah, I have ADHD. But it wasn't until I got to Austin and started actually working with neurodivergent entrepreneurs that I really started studying it, because I was like, oh, well, if I'm going to coach neurodivergent people, I need to understand them. And I need to actually know what I'm talking about. And so that's when I dug into the research and started reading a lot about it and listening to podcasts and all this other stuff. And the more I learn about it, it's nice because I can do these simple little things, because now I know, oh, I have this rejection sensitivity thing, and if I just mention it to this person, I can clear it up and it dissolves itself and it's like no big deal. Versus before, it was like I didn't even know it was a thing. All I knew was, oh, I think this person just rejected me and I feel crappy about it. But now having that awareness makes it easier to deal with the aftermath of it.